This episode of RPMMORadio is brought to you by all our amazing and generous Patreon donors. Visit us at patreon.com/RPMMORadio to help support the show. It is also brought to you by
This weekend, and this weekend only, at the Convention Center, RPMMORadio presents Roleplay Thunderdome! 2 groups enter, both unfamiliar, neither willing, each with their own twists and turns of thought and fancy. Both brought together by one and only one friend that spans between the two, and innocently thought that they could be friends. The fool, the simple-minded fool. Now, watch with us as these groups poke, prod at one another, each with their own air of superiority over their inferiors, of what is unknown and unwelcome to the new group. Watch as they use words as weapons, snidely commenting among themselves as they try to prove which is better. It ends in only one of 2 ways. They settle matters and join forces, becoming one, or one destroys the other, never speaking again. 2 groups enter, 1 group leaves. All this glowing neon necklaces that you strap with little plastic things and you wave in the air with a horn. All on Roleplay Thunderdome!
You're listening to RPMMO Radio.
Does internet porn know you're cheating on it?
Where entertainment and roleplay in MMORPGs have little hybrid mutant babies.
Make a note of this. This honor on you, this honor on your cow, this honor on your whole family.
And now, here's your hosts, Ashen Phoenix, Civ, Jazz, Strafe, and Yunfei.
Everybody off. We need to go on a quick adventure.
Hello, role players! Welcome to RPMMORadio. This is our 77th episode, Meeting the New Kids. I, of course, am one of your hosts, Ashen Phoenix, and with me today is the crew, Jazz, Sib, and Yunfei, with Rahanar taking your calls as a call screener, should you wish to, over at rpmmoradio.com/discord. As oh wait, I'm in a room full of ladies. Hello, ladies. Just realized that. I'm going to have to be on my best behavior. No.
I was going to say, really? Not really.
Well, I mean, my best behavior. It's not a very high bar.
That's really not.
It's a very low bar.
That's
like laying on the ground.
Yeah. This is usually how Rahnar's groups end up. It's usually just him and a bunch of chicks.
My man. So how's everybody been doing? Everyone having a good day? Ready?
Yes.
Ready to have some fun?
Good day.
Good. Well, appreciate everybody tuning in. Sorry we had to skip out on last week. We had basically kind of 3 of the 5 of us out. One of us had a death in the family. The other one, I think, had swallowed an entire load of frogs, and the other one has had medical issues.
Yeah, no.
I had to play.
Yeah. And yeah, you're the one with taking care of the one with medical issues. So, playing nursemaid. And not the fun kind that comes with an outfit.
No, not the fun kind.
Excuse me. But, yeah, so sorry for that. It was kind of unplanned and unscheduled, but, as much as Sib and I could totally carry the show on our own, it just probably wouldn't be the same, especially since The topic was actually brought to us by Strafe, which, even though he's not here, we're still going to go through it because I only skipped for one person once, and after that, he's gonna. It's just. I'm not. I'm just too lazy. I'm not going to write up another show. It was already done. Why would I do it again? That's a lot of work. So yeah, sorry for that. The intro has me choked up a little bit. Yeah. But, so yeah, I'm glad to have everyone here. Glad to be back. Do remember, if you want to, tune in, we do this almost every Saturday, 7 Central Time. We usually take one day off a month, which in this case was last week. So we're going to just plow on through the end of this month and the beginning of next, hopefully, and bring you all the great and exciting content like what we have for you today, which is kind of a mixed bag, really. We got some stuff that apparently some people don't want us to talk about because it gives the trolls what they want. I, however, in complete disagreement, and think that things like this should be aired out because they're beyond trolls and into cyberbullies.
Well, it hurts
and predators.
people, so talking about it is different than in an RP situation where people are being trolls. You ignore them, they do go away.
Yeah, it's different when
but
someone's
case,
rubbing their virtual butt on the table in front of you. It's a little bit different.
It's not even as much that as it is they're predatorial. And
no, I meant the ones in the tavern. They just rub their butt in front of you.
Oh, them. Yeah. Well, I don't know. I have them all on ignore, so... Yeah.
You just see them butt scooting, crouching through like
I just see them doing stuff, and I ignore them completely, and they get more and more frantic, and then they just bugger off. So,
sorry about that. So we're gonna go into that. We just have a whole grab bag full. It's just a grab bag episode. Just gonna throw everything out there and see what sticks. We will do what we've been doing in role play. Man, I know I've got some stuff I've got to say and talk about, but before we get into the most important person on the show, Sib, we'll go with Jazz first.
Pouring myself some wine.
Mm-hmm. Oh,
go, Jazz, go.
All right, well,
Jazz,
while you're doing, since you're,
I've got it all poured. Just
you can't
chill.
multitask.
I can multitask. I'm doing it right now. Well, you also, I don't know if you can tell or not, but I have a new mic. And it's, well, not a new mic. It's an old mic, but it's on a...
It's the same
boom.
mic.
It's the same mic, but it's on a boom. And with a wraparound thingy. It's very fancy. Oops. Kind of tapped it, and it's going to fall off. I have it on there with a wing and a prayer. Okay. So, I'm very pleased because it's in place. Anyway. That was very phallic sounding. I don't know how that happened. Anyway. For roleplay, I didn't have as much in ESO as I would like. I am still kind of recovering from the week before and all the drama with the death in the family and massive amounts of health problems and things with my family. So I've just been kind of... and it's been very quiet in ESO. I don't know if anybody else has noticed that, but a lot of my normal role play, especially when I go to Riften, has been just dead. There's just like
really?
no
So
one.
It's not just us being in Fallout 76 or something else. It's everywhere.
No, because I have been in game when y'all have abandoned me, and it's quite dead.
It's
so
not that
there's
we've
enough.
abandoned you, Jazz, so much as ran away.
Okay, fair enough. Anyway, so. With everybody off doing other things, I think everybody's off doing other things, waiting for new content to drop, and then we'll see more people in ESO again. But for right now, it's quiet, so I make myself busy doing stuff, and I don't get as much RP. I spent some time in Fallout with you guys, and also by myself. I managed to get up to 26. Go me.
Congrats.
And because I can't ever play a game without role-playing in some fashion... I have been role playing with myself and writing about what my character thinks.
Yeah.
And
well, we did do that. We did one real life role play session.
Yes, we did, and I want to do more because that was a lot of fun.
Yeah, that was. I mean, given it wasn't so much of a serious thing as it was of like Rooster Teeth's Red versus Blue, where we just had our avatars and we basically just made fun of badmouthed each other the entire time.
Yeah,
but
it was fun.
in game, so
but
it
it
was
was
okay.
painful because of the mic issues. So
Yeah,
I'm glad that.
yeah. Which, by the way, again, Jazz's aside, I appreciate everybody's patience the last 2 episodes when we sounded like we were underwater, being tortured by a pack of hungry squirrels. Apparently, and this is for all you guys out there and Discord leaders, for voice chat, if you ever get that, apparently under the settings there are 4 different regions, at least in the U.S., and if yours starts to sound like hot garbage like ours did, switch it. Fixed it instantly.
I did that for ours as well in Shadows and Dreams. So I did notice an uptick in
the quality. Yeah.
So that definitely there was no central US when we first started.
I know it was set to the south. Bunch of figures, bunch of redneck hillbillies, Cajuns. You know who you are, messing with my internets. And apparently they've added one for Central, which is actually where we are, and Jazz is, and Yunfei is.
So that has helped, I have noticed.
And
so
Strafei is.
Anyway,
We're all Central time. I just realized that.
Yeah. I do have 2 journal entries to read. So
go for it.
One's pretty short and one's long. So I thought I would read them both. Just to say, this is what I did in Roleplay. Can I go now?
You may continue.
Thank you. Journal 5. It's been a few days since I've seen Aircas, and I've stayed pretty busy. I try not to think about him because that's just stupid. He could be dead somewhere, and I'll likely not find him for a good long while. A scorched beast or a mutant could eat him, and I'd never find a piece of him anywhere. And I know that. I know better than to think about it. I go out and hunt, scavenge, and come home. The bathtub is nice. Really nice, actually. I boil the water, of course, and take some rad resistance before I bathe just to help with it, but it feels so good to take a bath again. I haven't had a bath since my time in the vault. Rivers don't count. Rain doesn't count. Baths are awesome. I cut my hair again today after the bath. It had started getting long again, and, it's odd. My hair never grew in the vault. I mean, it did, but not much. Now it's growing really fast, and I'm not sure why. With all the extra rads I get all the time, you wouldn't expect that. But I've had to cut my hair twice in the last 6 months. Anyway, just a side note. I remember when I shaved my head just before getting out of the vault. It had only grown half an inch when I left for good. I didn't even notice it was past my ears until one day I crossed some standing water and got a look at myself. I looked strange. My face was gaunt and I had all this hair. The next time I was in a house, I found a fractured mirror and used it to watch myself as I cut my hair with a knife. I was shocked how gaunt I was. I realized then I wasn't eating enough and made a promise to eat more. The only thing I can't eat is cat. They look like the pictures, and they are still cats. The other day, Ashen killed one that was wandered up to us looking for company and scraps. I nearly turned my gun on him and shot him in the head. I had to walk that one off. And now I'm mad again. More later. End.
To be fair, it was a feral cat. You don't know how many puppies it might have killed. I probably saved us all. I also wasn't sure if you could shoot them. Turns out, you can shoot the cats.
Yes, and she almost shot you. Okay, second one. Journal 6. It's been a few days. I got some of the general scavenging done on my own, and it's been quiet overall. I haven't seen Irkus in a few days again. Police boy I did run into, calls himself TA. I bumped into him at the Nuka-Cola plant, of course, cleaning out and scavenging. We bopped around for a while, working our way south. Got a bit hairy a few times, but we worked quietly, didn't talk much, shared the finds, talked when there was trouble, silent otherwise. We both sneak around a bit, although he was in his big metal suit for the first half, and boy howdy, is it loud. I let him draw all the fire, and I picked them off from the shadows. It worked like a charm. That's how I like it. He invited me back to his place for grub and some conversation. We talked about Ninth a lot. I think he might like her a bit. I talked a lot about Ashen too, but I think he's hero struck. I learned a lot about Vault 76 in the process. It was the best of the best, and these kids are what came out of it, which, yeah. Ash is old school, probably military or some such. Best of the best means he was there for a reason, although he is a bit of an ass most of the time. Reminds me of my trainer back in the vault, crusty on the outside and hard as nails under the skin, but deep down, he's a nice guy, snarling at the world to keep it at bay. He's a snarky old guy, that's for sure. Anyway, I learned a lot about them all. Makes me think they had the better vault, honestly. We were mostly men and a few women, mostly hard-working class folks and a smattering of brainy types. I had my pick of lovers and friends, and I kept to myself a lot. There were prettier, easier girls than me, and they got most of the attention, which suited me just fine. I focused on my shooting and physical fitness, which I suppose is what got Arnold's eye. He picked me over 3 other men more qualified to be his trainee. He will always honor me. He taught me everything I know about fighting, guns, and staying alive. Never tried to get in my pants either. Told me I was too young for him, but good on the eyes. Heh, old coot. I miss him. He died year before the vault spontaneously opened. Massive heart attack. Just fell, and that was it. Boom. We were all shocked and a bit lost, honestly. The guy that took his place was an absolute tool and internally pissed off that I wouldn't touch him with a 10-foot pole. All arms and legs and attitude. Yuck. Man, I would blow a mutant for a big-ass box of screws. This sucks. I never have enough. And duct tape. Man, I need to find a screw factory or a horny mutant. Seriously. And there's the perimeter warning. Later. In. There you go.
You're on mute, Zip.
Very well done.
There you go. All right. Yeah. No, it was actually a lot of fun. I mean, it's not. It really is. I mean,
it is a hot mess of a game.
It is a garbage fire of a game when it comes to disconnects and coding, but with friends, it's fun. It's actually fun.
And it's not actually too bad solo either, although, you get tired of it gets buggy, but I mean, it's still fun for me to run around and shoot things. Yeah. I get tired of some of the bugs, but the disconnects are what piss me off the most.
Yeah, and I know they're working on it, but they're always working on it. So, yeah, no game's perfect, and it's definitely, I mean, I understand everyone's flaws. One of the biggest ones, especially solo, that you come across, which anybody that's looked into it knows, is that there's no NPCs in the game. So anytime you're after somebody, when you get to the end, they're going to be one of two things: dead or a robot. Yeah. No in between. So there's no surprise. There's no hope of actually saving anybody. Yeah. It kind of ruins the narrative when you know in advance they included nothing. So
yes. There's no live people. You're not speaking to anyone alive. You're speaking to dead people or robots. That's it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and if it's not a player character, it's not alive. Yeah.
Nope.
I have to say though, I do like Rosie because she's just an insane psycho.
Yeah, she is. I don't think Jazz has met Rosie yet though.
Oh my god.
But yeah, she's
something else.
That's the thing. Fallout's always been Fallout and Elder Scrolls as well. I mean, it's the same people. They're known for in their single player games for their crazy, outlandish characters. So when you take you leave the crazy and outlandish, but you don't have a character. It's just a holotape or maybe a robot with a personality.
But
kind of ruins it, and they kind of shot themselves in the foot narratively with that. But that's beside the point. And it was fun to try it. It was really an experiment on our part. We're all old. And voice acting.
I'm on the secret society thing. Is the quest line that I'm running down right now, and I had to find the mentor, and of course she was a body and was dead.
Right.
And I'm like, look, it's a dead body. I'm so shocked.
I've never seen one of those. Yeah. All right. Well, let's see. Moving on. How about you, Sib? Anything?
I don't have a story. I did roleplay a little.
What's one?
But I got ran off by the trolls.
That's right, yeah.
Yeah, it was bad. And most of my time has been spent in 76, just having a field day. I know it's a glitchy game, but I love it. I've had so much fun. So that's about my
Yeah.
I did write a few stories. Hopefully I'll get some wrote this next week.
Yeah, you damn well better.
Hey. You're not the boss of me. Listen, Buttster.
Hey,
anyway.
hey.
Anyway, move on.
Happy birthday.
Aw.
Yeah, happy birthday, babe.
Thank you.
Yeah, somebody had their birthday yesterday. 67 years old now?
No, 84.
84. You look good, by the way.
I look damn good for 84. Hell yeah, and I sound good.
Do you know how much formaldehyde we have to have her bathe in to keep that? I mean, it's a lot. It is a tub full of it. Funny enough, it's also where we keep our Eye of Newt.
Nice.
Eye of Newt. That's funny.
Shut up, Wiccan. Yeah, no.
Keep talking, old man.
Uh-oh. What Ron Honor want?
Uh-oh.
Happy birthday.
Thank you, Rohanor.
Yes.
Yeah, happy birthday. I didn't know.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah,
I try to keep it quiet.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. She's been 38 for 6 years now.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I've been 21 for a while.
Hey, 38 was a really good year, so I'm just sticking with it.
Yeah, my husband tells everybody I'm 29. And I'm 51. So it's like, yeah, you need to like move it up a little bit to be believable.
Yeah. Oh, which reminds me, because there's, if you are listening to us live over at twitch.tv/RPMMORadio, feel free to follow us just like 169 did, and the Great Whoopdini, which I know I think he may have followed us before, but maybe he unfollowed us and now he's followed us again. I don't know, but his name showed up on the thing, so I'm going to say it. I also know he's been in the Discord forever, so that might be where I knew him from that instead, but I don't know. I've got a terrible memory for names. I'm pretty sure I've gone over that. So, Yunfei, did you have anything? I know you've been, you're not really role-playing much right now anyway, and you've been taking care of Big Boy over there.
Yeah, but I started playing RimWorld, and let me tell you, the stories write themselves in that game.
RimWorld. I'm assuming...
Don't say it!
That it's not the first thing that came to mind, but it has something to do with space instead.
Yes.
Okay, dodge that bullet. Rim shot.
You are three little people crash landed on a planet, and you have to survive. You can recruit other people and tame animals and stuff like that, and it's really fun.
Yeah.
But there are storytellers, which is basically just the computer making random shit up to happen. But yeah, sometimes the stories just write themselves. Like people fall in love, people cheat on each other, and people go crazy and start shooting everybody.
I know why you like it. It sounds like a slightly more narrative and complicated version of The Sims.
It does.
At least from the way you just described that, honestly, that sounds like that's something,
it's
just
like The
more
Sims
narrative.
for dudes.
Yeah. But no, that's cool. Yeah, I'll have to take a look at that. I know I've been all over the map. I'm no longer with the Servants of the Tribunal. I went ahead and left the guild. It was amicably. We all. I still talk to most everybody there, but there were certain things that had come along, and I just wasn't having the fun that I used to. So, what do we say here? If you're not having fun, don't try to keep sticking it out. And I did. I stuck it out for a little bit to see if things would change, if things would happen, or things would go on. But it never did. Kind of coalesced, and I'm sure anybody that's in ESO knows there was kind of a big thing. Then stuff happened. I'm not going to go too in depth into it, at least right now, because a lot of people are still raw about it. But give it some time, and I'll mention some more stuff. I think there's definitely some show topic in there as to how things can get out from underneath you in certain ways. But it was just time. I helped the best I could. It was all amicable, and I just wasn't having fun. And there's, if you're not having fun in it, there's no reason to stick around.
No,
especially
that's when you gotta just throw it in.
Yeah, it'd been since September, and I was trying. I had fun with the Chatterall thing when I did a commander thing for them, and he ended up getting killed, which was kind of the end goal. But after that, I found I still didn't really have anything to do, or wasn't really enjoying it. So I stepped down and moved away, and I wish them the best, and I hope they keep going. Any 4-year-old, almost 5 years now, 5-year-old RP guild is, there's definitely something to that. Not a lot of them last past the first year.
Oh,
Some of them even the first few months. So it was just time, And I'm always big on other games and things like that as well. I've got plenty of stuff. Kingdom Hearts 3, Resident Evil 2, What's the other? I've got Apex Legends, which came out of nowhere, and I unfortunately enjoy a lot more than I want to for a battle royale game.
Busy, busy, busy.
But at least I have to say, all the Fortnite kids hate it, which I am thankful for, and I wish Fortnite to continue its success so that I can continue to have probably 50 games in Apex, and I have not had one bad experience with the players yet, if you can believe that, in an online shooter. Why?
Wow.
All the shitheads
No Fortnite?
are in Fortnite. That's right. So thank you, Fortnite, for your service and your contribution to the gaming community and keeping the squeakers out of our doors.
Yep. Truth.
So with that, too, we got kind of a news story here that was brought to me by Jules.
Well, before we get on that, can I talk about mine first? Because it has nothing to do with really anything, but I thought it was really cool. So before you get on that one, which leads into our topic.
It's not in the outline here. It's not in the outline.
Yes, it is. It says news. I just didn't put anything in it.
I thought that was a typo.
Nope. I put that in there because I had something to say and I wanted to remember what it was.
All right, go.
Okay.
Wow. Running like a well-oiled machine here.
Yeah, we are. I was reading, and I'm a geology nerd, so I enjoy reading about rocks and things like that. And I'm sure most of us have at least read books about inner Earth and people that live on the inner Earth and then come out and meet mortals and things like that.
Mole men and crab people, right?
Yeah. So they've just found that the Earth's core isn't like we thought.
A solid thing
of
iron.
Right. It has mountains and plains, and it's like 660 kilometers beneath the Earth's surface, and it's vast. And it looks a lot like what we look like, except it's upside down. But it's the opposite of us. I mean, but I found that fascinating because it's like there's this glimmer of reality in some of these old legends. Yeah. So that have made a lot of really cool books out of those legends. So I thought that was really cool. Bolivia had a really, really bad earthquake. And because of that, they got some new information using seismic measurements and discovered this. So I thought it was something to share. It was really cool. I'm going to put the
that sounds kind of
link.
neat.
Where do you want me to put the link?
Just in the general chat in Discord, because I don't know.
General chat.
You can try to put it in the put it over in Twitch too if you can.
Whoops, I think that didn't copy, and that is not what I want to put in there. Sneaky.
Oh,
that is not okay.
Let's see, what does it say? He sensually rubs his hands up and down.
Oh, stop!
The hot dog. This is just about a hot dog vendor. What do you got?
Yeah. You're very lucky that's not what I. Yeah, there you go.
No, that's actually kind of cool.
I thought it was really, really cool.
I mean, if you think about it, of course, technically, if you visualize it, of course, the molten core, you think, is just a big glob.
And obviously, it doesn't have green grass and stuff.
How you do it,
yeah.
But of course, it would just like up here. It's probably all lopsided and lumpy, like
Right.
Like
so I mean, it's not like what the books say, but I still thought it was pretty cool.
No, well, I mean, that whole photosynthesis thing.
Yeah, it's really necessary for green things. So.
Oh. No. I wonder if that's picking up on the thing. Our son's Bronco, 84 Bronco, just pulled up, so I'm curious to see if that will show up on the show. Burn! Our neighbors love us.
Sure they do.
So, this was there was a thing here brought to me, and I'm actually not even going to give out their website, at least not right now. Apparently, when I mentioned it, too, in some places, it was highly controversial that it's looked at in one of two ways. Don't talk about it, or talk about it. So, as a talk show, we're going to talk about it. But it is I think it's a couple guys, and what they do is they find ERPers, and they ERP with them. And they record it the entire time, or at least given their horrible editing techniques and their shitty way of actually doing these, which, I mean, it kind of looks like somebody in the 4th grade got hold of like their first Microsoft video editor and is editing together screenshots of SpongeBob SquarePants memes into a coherent thought. But that would be insulting to the 4th grader. So it's
pretty bad.
shitty production, especially for somebody that wants you to read what they're typing when you have to pause it because that only stays on the screen for 3 seconds and you're pausing it every 3 seconds so you can read it. And they also put music to it, which is, great listening when you're pausing it every 3 seconds because they don't give you enough time to read anything because they're idiots.
Yeah, they're not bright.
So what they're doing is they are trying to expose ERPers. And now their stated goal for this is actually one I don't disagree with. They, quote unquote, they're doing it to stop people from knowingly engaging in ERP with underaged, like real world underaged people, which noble. That seems like a good cause. Now, to stop that, you don't typically then ERP with those people.
Try to get likes and attention for it.
Right. It's kind of like, you remember that show To Catch a Predator? Mm-hmm. But instead of having the police officers merely lure the bad guys out and they go all the way while they then go all the way with the predator themselves actually performing the sex act instead of having Chris Hansen stop them as they come in and say, have a seat, we need to talk. No, they actually go through the entire process of apparently hiring the kid or pretending to be them, then doing the sex act as the kid, which, creepy, and then they'll expose that. The whole time they're pretending to be that kid, but still engaging in the ERP themselves. They've been doing this for about 6 months, it looks like, and they've done it across multiple games. It really only got traction when they hit ESO because they finally hit a game people gave a shit about. Sorry, Star Wars. There's not a lot of you out there anymore. I love you. Yeah. I love Star Wars, but you shouldn't have gone with that linear game design. It was a bad idea.
In Star Wars, people just go to Fleet. People are just doing it in the cantina anyway, so...
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty
right. Yeah, unfortunately, Star Wars is kind of got a lot of that. And okay. And
it's also that people that do that don't care if you catch them.
Right. Well, and we do make...
They have no shame. So you're really trying to hit in the dead end there.
Yeah, you really are. And, if you're doing that out in public, you're not exposing that person. That person is literally exposing themselves.
And you're probably making them feel good.
Right, you're giving them the attention, which is, when I brought this up and was advertising in a few Discords, I was told not to talk about this because it only gives attention to these trolls. And that's exactly what they want. And I can tell you,
but they're not trolls.
Only 31 subscribers. They're not getting any traction. Actually, the ESO video is the one that's got the most views, and it hasn't even hit 300. All the others are like 10, 15, maybe, and that's probably them clicking on it over and over with their pants down around their ankles and a bottle of lube. But that's just my personal thought on what they're probably doing.
Yeah.
Here's the thing.
Probably accurate.
Indigo Jules, he or she, sorry, it sounds like a girl's name. So Indigo, they brought it to me, and their reasoning. First, I was kind of like, I had the same thought. I'll be honest. I thought, do I want to talk about this because it does give them he. Thank you. Sorry, Indigo. It's a habit. I have a horrible habit of meth, but. I didn't know if I wanted to talk about it just because of that thing. I didn't know if I wanted to give them any more exposure, things like that, and give them more of what they probably want. But at the same time, as he said, this isn't like the trolls that we get when we go to Riften, or the ones that are bouncing around at the Fleet in Star Wars, or the Golden... something, whatever. Pick the Golden Sand or the Whites, Golden Sands in Final Fantasy. That bounce around and rub their butt and scoot around you and are just mildly annoying. Those guys, you ignore them. They really don't mean anything. If they're spamming, you put them on ignore and you move on with your life. It doesn't matter. There's nothing to them. These guys, however, are actively seeking people out. ERPers, I understand. We make fun of them all the time. Frankly, guys, you're an easy target. It's an old joke. It's a good joke most of the time. A few of us here on the show, they have ERPs, still do from time to time. It's not that big a deal. What two people do between themselves for entertainment, kind of between two people, don't really care. Just like your love life, not interested. It's sticky and gross, and I don't like looking at myself in the mirror. I definitely don't want to hear about your exploits. So when somebody does that, this is kind of the equivalent of filming a sex tape and not telling one of the two parties involved, which is not good and also slightly illegal. It's probably a gray area when it comes to text, but so what they're doing with this is they then post it on YouTube, and they're trying to, they're shaming these people. Now, and as far as they were concerned, it was just, random role play between some other ERPer, which is cool. More power to you. They had a good time. Everyone they thought was, leaving with a handshake and a knowing nod, But once,
not a handshake.
A lot of handshaking, a lot of vigorous handshaking. So when they post it online, however, that is when it becomes, as somebody else had said, it's bullying. You're cyberbullying. You're trying to shame people, and I understand.
And depending on the state, a crime.
Could be, yeah. Goldshire, thank you. Was World of Warcraft. I knew gold was in there somewhere. So because of this, now if you want to find it, you can find it. Here's my suggestion. If you do go out and find their channel, one, don't make any comments. It really does feed them. I mean, the fact that if you want to review the material and see what they're doing, and yes, some of the stuff that people roleplay is grotesque. To me, it's personally grotesque. There's people that roleplay with as if they were kids. There's the gang rape fantasies. There's all sorts of nasty. And I'm not talking about just they do the other ERP where it's just like two people going at it. That's one thing. There are nasty things that people do in their roleplay that I want no part of. And at the same time, you're making me defend those people because what you did is equally as bad in a different way. At least when you were pretending...
It's still a violation,
right,
yeah.
It's still a violation. At least when you're pretending there weren't any actual people involved, and more than likely the entire gang was up for it. And more than likely, probably all dudes. But even if one of them was playing a woman, still probably all dudes.
Still probably dudes, yeah.
Yeah. And
except the dudes, which might be female.
Right, except for the dudes, which are probably actually played by women. If they're gay, but only if they're gay.
Yeah, but only if they're gay.
So here's the deal. If you go there, if you do find this place out, we're probably going to have an actual full episode on this because, honestly, as you told, I have got no... One, if you're going to do this, have pride in your quality of your work. At least make the videos edited in a way that it's coherent and readable and you can actually do what you're doing without making me pause the thing every fucking 5 seconds to continue to read and see what the hell it is you're talking about. And two, I'm forgetting the word. Not file on it. Was it report it?
Report it. Yeah.
When you go to the video, go to their site, report it as I did it. I did it on several of their videos in their entire channel as cyberbullying and harassment because that's exactly what it was.
Yes, it is harassment, period.
These people entered into it with the person, oddly enough, ERPing to prove how bad ERPers are. There's no irony there, by the way. Don't look too deeply into that thought process because that way lies madness.
Yeah, it's going to make your brain hurt.
Yeah. It's like, I'm going to prove this cult isn't all that bad by joining this cult. And or I'm going to prove this cult is horrible by joining it. Kool-Aid, you say? I could use a good drink. It's self-defeating. You're not making your point, You're not, by being what you claim to hate, you aren't helping anything. You're definitely not proving anything. So, just... I honestly, I'm not really...
There really isn't a whole lot more to say.
I'm not really a defender of ERPers other than you do you and leave me out of it. That's it. But it's the fact that I'm having to come on here and defend, what I don't even really... A lot of people I don't even consider real role players when they're doing that. And that's all they do. It's, it's kind of sad that I had to come on here and do that. And the fact of these people, I think it's a couple guys. Which, by the way, guys, seriously, if this gets to you, I'm more than happy to have you on the show. I'll berate you to your face and tell you how wrong you are for doing what you're doing.
And small-minded and stupid,
right?
And
you know,
petty.
How bored do you have to be?
That you're doing this for 6
Yeah,
months. I know we've done this show for almost 2 years and 3 months now. I mean, and I know how bored we are. So the level of boredom it takes to commit to something like this has got to be mind-numbing. So here's the real problem too: is their little banner is ERPers don't ascertain the age of their online partners. Untrue, 99.9% of the time. They are online predators. Protect yourself and your children. Oh, thank you, Chris Hansen. What would we do without you? No, sorry. Chris Hansen was useful and actually did a lot of really good stuff at bringing child porn and problems online to the attention of the public. Unlike you, who makes wild accusations, because most ERPers, we actually don't put up with this shit. Jazz, remember the person we kicked when we found out that they knowingly ERP'd with an underage person?
Yep.
What happened to them?
They got kicked.
Right. Yep, right out of the guild. And also in the S. And then they're at both cheeks. It was a flying kick.
Cheeks.
So, you know, here's the
And it
thing.
was not even, it was,
No.
I got the screenshots and they were out. I said, you know what? I don't have anything against you personally, but I can't be associated with this kind of behavior. You're done. Have a nice day.
Yeah, especially because it was, no. Now, I understand if it happens because somebody lied, that's definitely a gray area, and the person that lied about it, you know, you're putting...
No, this person knew.
No, that's what I'm saying.
We had told the whole guild
yeah.
he was underage.
Oh, yeah.
So
I know.
there was no excuse.
That's what I'm saying. If somebody has lied about it, just know that if you're underage and you're lying about it while you're doing this stuff, you're putting somebody's life and their livelihood in jeopardy. So don't do that, for the love of God. It
was even in his guild note.
But
this
yes,
is an underage person.
do not engage. Yeah.
They did anyway, so yeah.
Right. And so when you
Bye, Felicia. Bye.
Yeah, so when you knowingly do that, there's most role players, like I said, probably even more than 99.9%. If you've got a decent guild, guild leader, guild people, if they find out about that, you're gone. You're just there is no leeway for you guild leaders out there when you find out about this stuff. No leeway at all. You get rid of that person, because that is a level of toxicity and real world trouble literally knocking at your door one day that you do not want to engage in. Jazz, was it you that said that you had somebody do something like that and you ended up getting a call from parents and the police?
Yes.
Tell that story again real quick.
We had a person that told us they were an age that they were not. And the mother called the police on us, and I had to speak to the police on the phone. SOE gave them my information, and they called me, and I got to say, dude, we asked, he lied. That is not our fault.
Mm-hmm.
And the officers were very nice about it. You know, they were like, no, you know, you're right, but we have to ask.
Yeah,
because the parent made
that's
a complaint.
their job.
And I'm like, yeah. And I was like, dude, I'm not mad at you, but I am telling you, this kid told us he was 18. Actually, he said he was 19.
Yeah, and as a mother of kids and boys at
Yes,
that, you
and I had small
understand
children
why
at
they
the
would have to
time.
do that. You would want
I was
them
like,
to.
we were an 18 only guild. Period. We didn't allow anybody under 18 ever. We had a couple people that lied that ended up telling us after they were 18. And Nylock, if you're out there, dude, I swear if I ever find you, I'm going to smack you. Anyway, love you though. Love you. Great RPer, but I wanted to beat your behind. Anyway, but this young man lied to us extensively and then tried to throw us under the bus when he was caught.
Mm-hmm. Which only made it worse.
Didn't
for him.
end well for him.
No,
he lost his computer, and
I imagine he
was
still
really
wonders how the internet's doing to this very day.
Yeah. He was 15. Yeah.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah.
It happened more than once, by the way, but the whole police thing only happened once.
Yeah, and keep in mind, too, this was actually some years and years and years ago.
This was years and years ago, yes.
Things are not so pleasant these days, because now
No.
the technology always outstrips the law. You don't believe me? Ask Elon Musk what he thinks of AI and why he wants to go to Mars and how bad they all think AI is. And yet we still don't have any laws saying, hey, be careful with that. You know.
Yeah.
So these days, at least, the cyberbullying and all this online predator stuff, it's taken. Even back then, she got a call from cops, and these days, it's taken 10 times more seriously than it was back then. You know, this was back when the internet was. I think DSL was the high-speed internet of the day, and even that was like 1.5 megs.
Yeah, it was
second,
really slow back then. It was, yeah.
But it was still 50 times faster than AOL dial-up.
Yep.
So, keep that stuff in mind. And for those of you out there that ERP, seriously, you guys need to protect yourselves. If you do not ever do anything that you would not want to get out, because it's always a very real possibility. It will.
As someone who ERPs, on occasion, and still does on occasion with people I trust, but anything that you do in a game is public, even if it's private. It's public. So keep that in mind, that just because you're having a conversation in a text, or whether you're having it in spatial or in a group, it doesn't matter. You're in a game, and that game is recording everything you say.
Mm-hmm.
So even though I feel bad for them, that is an important thing to remember. Don't do anything in ERP that could be illegal,
right,
in some states, or that could be construed the wrong way, because it's all recorded and is findable with coding, with a search, and can be tied to you. So one of the things I always did, Ashlyn will tell you this, when I did ERP a lot, one of the first things I would ask people, how old are you?
Mm-hmm.
As soon as it started going down that path, I'd stop and go, okay, how old are you?
and then you'd screenshot it.
Mm-hmm. I would screenshot what they said, and if they said they were 18, I'm like, okay. And then they didn't even ask me, which I always thought was really funny. I asked them, but they didn't ask me.
I think that's the false logic of, well, if they're asking me, they have to be older.
Right, yeah. But I screenshotted it so that I could say, they were 18, and then we would go do our thing. But I also never did anything that anybody could shame me for. And people tried, trust me.
Yeah, I mean, she's been friends with me. She's got a very low threshold for shame. I mean, it takes a lot to make this woman blush. I'm proud to say I have done it a few times.
Yes, you have. You are very adept. I will say that, yes.
Indigo Jules says they have a 1.3 gigabyte proof folder. Yep. It's smart. You gotta. I hate to say it, you gotta cover your ass. And like you said, everything is recorded. I told the story of the child predators, the people that groom people over things like Xbox and PlayStation, in the voice chat, and that's when I found out that the Cyber Child Welfare Bureau, or whatever, I don't know what it's called. That sounds really cool when I say it that way, though. They knew. They asked permission from the dad to take the Xbox or the PlayStation. I forget which one. Doesn't matter, because they both do the exact same thing. They can take that back to their crime labs, and with that, as well as the Microsoft and Sony working with them, which they are happy to do when it comes to somebody grooming and possibly kidnapping a child, they can get a text chat of everything said over the voice of those consoles, which means all your kids playing Fortnite and all the stuff that they say somewhere, it's recorded. It's in a transcript. It can be pulled up like that. I mean, a court order, but, not going to have a hard time getting a court order when a child's life is in danger.
Nope,
or
not at
when
all.
There's possible sexual abuse or harassment involved. So keep that stuff in mind. That I know everyone's, free speech. Yeah, guess what? Yeah, none of these companies are run by the government, and they aren't limited by the First Amendment. You're on their platform. They can tell you to fuck off however long they want. That's why YouTube can ban people. It's why Twitch, Discord, all of Facebook. You're on their platform. You really don't have a First Amendment right on other people's stuff.
No,
just like this
you
show.
do not.
If somebody
There
came
is
on,
no First Amendment.
No.
And not in this case.
If I'm here in the, in my house or out in the public square, I guess, sure, I can do that then. But
well, the First Amendment doesn't protect you from personal issues. It protects you from government issues and from with your employers, but it does not prevent you from losing your job.
It protects your speech, not your consequences.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's only for you can't be jailed for something that you say when you are exercising your First Amendment right.
Yeah, so
that doesn't mean that you can't be fired.
Yeah, and if you're out there saying Obama or Donald Trump are bad or they're gay or whatever, slur you want to use, you can say that. You have the right to say it out loud, but if you say it on a platform where they're like, that's against our code of conduct, you're gone.
They'll ban you.
And I see
I see
kids all the time. Oh, it's my free No, you're not speaking, you're typing, you moron.
Not only that, I mean, typing is actually
right. I understand that, but not on that platform.
It doesn't. No, on that platform, you are subject to their rules, and your First Amendment right doesn't trump their ability to protect themselves.
Yeah, and there are things like consent, which is where these assholes step over the line. Because yes, there was consent to do the act of the ERP. It was not consented to post it and then have them publicly shamed. And as I understand it, at least one or at least a couple of these people, I'd imagine, and this is just from me, so I don't know about all the other games these guys have done this to. Given there's so few view counts, most of the other ones probably have no idea that they're actually up there. Neither does anybody else. But they changed their name, and I understand they're barely in the game anymore because, I mean, how would you... It's embarrassing. I understand that. Maybe you shouldn't be, but at the same time, you thought the stuff that...
But if it's embarrassing, you shouldn't be doing it in the first place.
Well, it's embarrassing and it gets in public.
That's how I see it anyway.
Well, I mean, people...
I wouldn't say... I mean, with the embarrassing part, okay, yeah, it will be embarrassing. And you don't want it to get out. But there's a difference between being embarrassing and being ashamed of it.
Right. Yeah, well,
that's true. I suppose that's true. I guess that's how I view it. Is that if I did it,
you're a little freer than most.
Well, I am not furry. Leave me be.
Finish your thought.
I said freer.
Oh, I thought you said furrier. Like, I'm not a furry. I don't mind furries, but I'm not a furry.
No,
but
freer than most.
Freer. I am. That is very true. I am freer than most. I might be embarrassed because I don't want the hassle of having to explain myself to someone, but I'm also not afraid of doing that. Right. And once it's out, I'm like, yep, I do that. I had a coworker recently ask me, well, I heard that role players are a bunch of ERPers. I said, well, yep, a lot of them are. Yeah, there's no point in denying that. She goes, how many? I'm like, 7, 8 out of 10. Yeah. And which are you? I'm one of them sometimes. Yeah.
Welcome to being a grown-up, red-blooded human.
Yeah. Yep. I'm not even going to try and say that that's not the case. But I also believe that it's my $15. I can spend it however I want. And if that's how you want to spend your $15, that's fine.
Mm-hmm. It's
I
the
totally agree.
Same way with people, I look at it like this. Am I embarrassed of the fact that I have carnal relations with my wife? No. If somebody filmed me and put it online, would I be?
Oh, yeah.
A little bit. My techniques are slightly sloppy. Yeah. A little bit. I got a little work. I got a little work to do before I get to the Olympic level.
Sex is just inherently embarrassing.
Right.
Like, I mean, there's noises and things slapping together, and it's just the whole process is embarrassing.
What was it? What they say in Dogma?
You did it for me! Yay!
Yeah, in Dogma, when they're talking about sex, and they're like, "Sex is a joke in heaven." Have you seen the faces you people make? It's hilarious. Yeah, it's awful.
True.
But so with this though, it's not consensual. They do not have permission from all parties involved. I mean, it really is like leaking a sex tape in a lot of ways.
It is.
And I have.
It is, and
that's
that's actually what I was going to say right before the show. Is that it's very, very much like leaking a sex tape.
Yes, and depending on the state, it is illegal. So I don't know if these guys are not going to get in trouble if they get enough likes and it gets to the attention of the wrong people.
Yeah,
they could end up going to jail or paying a fine.
Yeah. So if you find it, I'm not going to give them any. I'm not. We had to talk about it. Frankly, like I said, these are trolls that aren't going to go away. If you believe in it enough, you'll easily find it. I mean, it's not hard. It's a tiny little. It might be a little difficult. It's a tiny little corner of YouTube. But if you do say it, don't comment, because they do. I will say they do thrive on the comments. Feel free to read through them, but I can't tell you what to do, obviously. But I would strongly suggest and advise, don't engage them. Just report them. Just know that it's out there. Protect yourself. Wear a rubber. I don't want to have this talk with you, but your mom and I are worried. There's a lot of diseases out there, and unfortunately, the internet is one of them.
I'm wondering if they could get in trouble just for the fact of if somebody was to have them agree to, it being totally private, them screenshotting it, saying, if they say, yeah, we'll keep it totally private, and then next thing you know, it's up somewhere on YouTube.
It would be an interesting conversation to have with a lawyer. Unfortunately,
yes, it would be.
I do not know.
Depending on the state, definitely
it
would.
It's state to state. Some are far more
Some are more up to date with this kind of stuff than others. But yeah, there's definitely legal issues involved. And if not legal, the bottom line is it may not be illegal, but civil law states that person could sue you. Not to mention,
and on top of that, what we were saying about the platform, the stuff that is actually written in the videos is definitely against YouTube's terms of service. It's highly offensive sexual content with the rape and stuff, the rape RP that goes on in there. Again, not a fan of that. That's not something, if you're doing kiddie porn ERP and rape ERP, you got some problems, but I'm sorry to tell you.
I'm surprised they haven't been taken down already.
Right. So, I think it's because they are so small and so insignificant, kind of like what's between their legs, that it's just unrecognizable with modern science.
Ashen, dude.
Can you tell I'm not filtering myself on these assholes? It's just
nope.
I cannot tell.
Not at all.
The fact that part of it is because they're going after role players in general. The other part of it is because these fuckers are making me defend ERP, and I don't want to defend ERP. I don't do it. I don't want to really talk about it, and yet here I am stuck talking about it, and I don't want to do that. So that pisses me off. So there's that. So, that wasn't actually the topic for the show.
Really turned into it.
It kind of did, but it's important. It really is, guys. Just protect yourselves. Watch out. What we were saying, don't ever do anything that if it got out, it would ruin your life. If you're for the love of God, if you're doing this behind you have a spouse or a girlfriend or a boyfriend, do not do this if they are not aware of it. That is a really good way to lose a relationship, and frankly, ERP is not worth it.
No,
you get that, especially not when you got the real thing on hand. I'm just saying.
Come on, Sib, make the sound for me.
She's feeding the dogs.
Ah, darn.
Here, hold on, I can do.
Don't.
That works too.
No. Kids and teens out there, trust me, it's not worth it. Just wait.
Mm-hmm.
Go sneak porn on your computer or whatever kids do these days. I don't know.
Not even. No, not.
You okay there, Ashton?
It's just such a stupid place to have to. We have to even say these things, but there's assholes like, and they're not even trolls. People were calling them trolls earlier, but they're not trolls. They're actually predators. These themselves that are out to catch the predator are the predators.
Yes.
So
they are
they
are predicating. They're definitely doing something bad, and they're not helping anything. They're not making themselves, or they're not informing the public. They're not punishing anybody really, other than themselves, because this is all going to end badly for them.
Yeah.
It sounds like they're doing bad things, but they're doing it like behind a flag of good.
Yeah.
Honestly, if you're doing this,
like they're trying to make it.
But I don't think that's what it's about. I really don't. I think they're just saying, let's say it's this.
Right,
but,
right.
I mean,
that's what I'm saying.
You don't do the things that they're doing and not be doing it for a different reason.
Yeah. No, that's what I'm saying. But it seems like they're trying to hide behind excuses.
They're trying to hide behind this, oh, look at me, I'm doing a good thing. But, I mean, no. It's no different than, like cops who pose as kids, or when they have that computer program that poses as a child,
right? And
they do the thing, but they only get to a certain point, and then they arrest you,
right? Well, and then they're only playing the part of a kid. They don't do all the other stuff, but then they wait for the person to like, hey, we need to meet, and then when they go there to meet, they're under arrest,
right?
And also
because they're not actually going through with anything; they're just doing the bait and switch.
Well, and
which is a different thing. It'd be a different thing if they were doing that.
And there's also, and for cops in feds and things like that, there's actually laws
yes.
They
have to be
place.
They're treading a very thin line.
There's probably a book that's a foot thick of the rules and regulations of the shit they can and cannot do. You can't catch these guys. Yeah,
because it's you just go one tippy toe over the line and it's entrapment. So they have to do it a certain way.
Oh, in which, by the way, anybody out there, if you ask them if they're a cop, you're right. They have to tell you the truth. So if they say no, you're okay.
Don't tell people that.
Don't tell people that.
At all. Because the cops have a legal right to lie to you.
Yeah, that's my point.
In this country, anyway. In other countries, not so much. But in this country, they have the right to lie to you.
I don't know where that's some stupid movie trope. It's like if the cops... And I love that it's actually caught on for... the last 40 or 50 years it's still around. It's like, no, they don't. You have no idea how a sting operation works. You don't think that'd be the first thing out of El Chapo's mouth every time he met somebody new? Are you a cop? Yes. Oh, man, I'm sorry. I didn't think you were going to ask me that. I'm just going to grab my things. Plane's waiting. We're probably not going to give up. There may be another guy coming later on. I don't know. We are. But, hey, good to meet you, Mr. Chapo. You have a good day. No, it doesn't work like that, you moron. Jeez.
Oh, good times.
So, well, if anybody else has anything that they want to add to that, feel free. If you want to text it out here in the chat, I'll read it for you. If you want to call in, RPMMORadio.com/Discord. If you're not already in our Discord server, Rahanar is probably still there, not entirely asleep. He's had a rough couple weeks.
No, he's still there.
He'll make sure that your mic works. If you want to come on and say a thing or two about it, feel free to. Otherwise, we're going to move on to our actual topic with the last 45 minutes left in the show. Which was...
He doesn't even remember.
No, I remember. I'm just trying to make sure I covered all the issues I had in my head on those assholes, and I think I hit.
I think we killed the horse, dude. I think we can move on.
Yeah, I think so. But small wieners. Anyway, when you introduce what this is it was actually Straffe's idea. It was a pretty good one because this is, and I've got stories of this. It's as awful in real life as it is in role play. I will say that thing where you've got two groups of people, okay? One group that's like that you knew from maybe your love of Star Wars, and this other one from maybe they're people you knew in high school. And you're the only one that knows both these two separate groups, and you think, well, it would be fun if I had a party and I invited all of them.
Don't do it.
No. Fights will happen.
Been there, done that. bad things. Don't ever.
Punches were thrown, cake was smashed. It was awful.
Yeah, and I've got a good story too of a buddy that just brought one guy to his other group of friends. That was awful. And this kind of it happens with role play groups too, because there's not so much cliques as this. There's just separate little communities inside communities. Like one guild. Think of it instead of groups as guild. One guild meets another guild. It almost never. That's just why inter-guild role play almost always ends in tears.
Almost. Well, now caveat.
Almost.
Inter-guild RP can go very, very well or very, very bad, but it has a higher chance of going well if there's no conflict RP.
If it's a party.
Right.
Right.
If it's conflict RP, it
always goes
please
poorly.
hear me on that. Hear me on this. I know everyone's like, but no. Listen to me. If there's conflict, do not do inter-guild RP. It always ends in tears. It's never fun for everyone. It always sucks, particularly for the guild leader. Please don't do that to her or him. Just don't. There you go. There's my little PSA for the moment. Don't do it.
I will not disagree with you. I've seen it. In fact, when I was with Silver Circle, I saw it.
Too many times.
Yeah, it gets messy.
It always ended badly, particularly when people would want to group with us because they liked the idea of being like monster hunters, but they didn't actually want us to be monsters. We were just supposed to be these little weaklings pretending to be monsters. Right, that they could easily beat. And they didn't like the idea of rolling dice. And so when we won, they were like, "You cheated."
You're right. We loaded the electronic dice in /random. How'd you get?
Nice try. Yeah.
Got us.
In game, no less, because they are actually, EQ, as you remember, had actual in game.
Oh, you mean like 99% of all other good games?
Yes.
Unlike ESO, who does not know how to code that?
Yeah, apparently.
I mean,
it's too much of a challenge.
Not to be
But
specific.
they can code sitting in a chair. I don't know.
Well,
they have the same problems every game has with that particular code.
We have pictures that prove that the power of beans in ESO is enough to actually physically lift a person continually off the chair at all times.
Yes.
By several inches. So... But yeah, introducing two groups of separate role players, be it a guild or just two different sides, Sith or Jedi or whatever.
Oh yeah,
Alliance.
Sith and Jedi. I actually, when I was in Tor, we actually had a inter-guild party for both Jedi and Sith. Now, raise your hands. Who is shocked that it ended up in fighting? No one? No one? Yeah. No one.
I would actually be more shocked if it wasn't a 50-50 chance that the Jedi would instigate the fighting, even though a Jedi would not have done that.
Oh yeah, totally. Jedi started the one. Totally.
Yeah.
Two of them actually picked a fight with the Sith, and it ended badly. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Jedi are huge dicks.
Oh, and they are. But it's even worse when they're role played by people that don't get the concept.
Nope. Yeah. Well, that is true because a lot of people that play Jedis are actually just huge dicks, and they want to be huge dicks, and they really don't care that Jedi have little tiny dicks, and are really actually less powerful.
Yeah, those ERP guys did a lot of exposure stuff in SWTOR, so they know all about the tiny dicks.
Which I'd be really surprised if anyone in SWTOR cared.
That would be honestly too.
Because when I was role playing in there, and at that point I wasn't ERPing in public in any way, shape, or form with the public in general, and I was amazed at what I saw, in spatial
chat,
let alone, and I was like, I'm almost afraid to ask what's happening in Tells if this is what's happening in spatial.
It's two Jawas stacked on top of each other, making a Twilight sandwich. Yeah.
Ew. I didn't need that image. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Ooh, teeny. Oh my God, you just almost made me spit my wine. I need to not take a drink when you're talking.
Yeah, it's a life lesson Sib learned a long time ago.
No, now I have had different groups introduced to each other from different games. And that doesn't always end in tears, although, like you said, there's always a little angst. Always. Particularly personally, because I will have people think that I like I played EQ for 13 years. And in that period of time, I also played other games on the side and as well, or in place of, sometimes if I needed to break. And when I would bring those role players that I met there into EQ, there was always, so now you like him better than me, huh?
Sobsy.
Always.
Sobsy was the one that Straffe had give the thing, because he was one you brought from Conan.
It wasn't just Straffe. But yes,
yeah, but he was the one that was like he even admitted he was dubious about it. You know, he's like, yes. I don't know about this guy. You know.
Yeah, and Sobsy was, and by his own admission,
right, he's a turd head.
So he didn't help, but eventually they all became friends. Yeah. But the initial introduction, I didn't learn. I will tell you that when I was younger, in my 20s, I moved to Florida, and I had never really experienced blatant racism at that point, which I got to know.
Until you got it from those damn Puerto Ricans, am I right?
So I lived. Funny you mentioned this.
I know. I figured that's where it was going.
Yes, I lived in the Cuban area, and I made a lot of Cuban friends.
Cubans, that's what I meant.
Yeah, the Cubans. Oh, so hot. Anyway, focus. And then I worked on the other side of town in Brandon, and that was largely white, and all the people that I worked with were largely white. And then I also, where I went to church and did my laundry and things like that, was in a predominantly black neighborhood. So I had a bunch of friends from there. And I would go to various parties, and I was usually the only person like me there. And so I thought, wouldn't it be nice if my friends were to all meet? It did not end well. Someone got stabbed. It was bad.
That's worse than cake smashing.
Yeah, no, it was bad. Cops were called. It was a learning experience that apparently I did not have a learning experience, because I tried to do it again in several different
Wow. Yeah, no, see, yeah, I've not started a race riot, for example, Jazz.
It wasn't a race riot, but it definitely was
between white people and Cubans?
tension. It was racial tension, yes.
Okay, so funny joke on race riots. So, go figure out. Everyone, Wreck-It Ralph? When it's all racing, right? Well, the guy, Alan Tudyk, that does, what's the King Candy? He talks like this. It's salmon. It's clearly salmon. And one of the things they took out that Tudyk did out of The Fly was he said, everybody, stop fighting. You're going to cause a race riot. Get it? Because we're racing and there's a riot. And no, they cut that part out.
Yeah, I'll bet they did.
I just love the fact that he's still told the story. I loved Alan Tudyk. He is a national treasure that is largely underestimated.
Agreed.
Also, one of the funny enough, I think he is the biggest. He is in more Disney movies as a voice actor than any other person alive.
That's not surprising.
Because he was King Candy. Yeah. He was the chicken in Moana.
I love the chicken.
He was the chicken. He voice acted a chicken. He was
the businessman. Oh, I can't remember his name. In Big Hero 6.
Weasel in Frozen. Or Weasel. Weaselton.
Yeah, Weasel.
It's Wesselton. Yeah. But he was in that. He's in a couple others as well. But yeah, I just love that guy. Anyway, so I'm a big fan from Wash. Which, by the way, how do Reapers clean their tools? They run them through the wash.
Oh.
Too soon?
Boo.
Too soon.
It'll always be too soon.
The great thing is,
it'll always be painful.
You know who I heard that joke from? Nathan Fillion, right in front of Alan Tudyk.
Oh gosh.
just gave them the most wounded look.
Oh man.
So, okay, I'm going to tell a quick story. Mine doesn't end in a race riot.
It wasn't a race riot. Stop saying that. The police were called. That's all I'll say. Now, go on with your story.
No, police, huh? Or as we like to call them, a SWAT team.
You're gonna kill her tonight. You okay, Jazz?
Damn it, Ashton. Oh, now there's wine on my paper.
That is some good wine. You should really try drinking some.
I'm not drinking anything now until
So anyway,
tell your damn story.
My Star Wars group had we used to do a poker night, Texas Hold'em. You know, it was, you'd bring $10 per game. We'd usually play 2 games. They last for fucking ever. But my good buddy Otto Skank, and that is his actual last name, SCHNECK. It's German. Takes a very powerful woman to marry into their family, as his mom said at his wedding.
Yes.
Which we love them, Becca and Otto. So Otto invited this friend outside of our group to play Texas Hold'em with his other good Star Wars friends who think of him like a brother. Now, understand, apparently this guy thought himself as something of a poker aficionado. You know, he did tournaments and stuff like that. So when it came down to the last 2 of them, him being one, and I think Billy, a friend of mine named Billy, not Bill, because he doesn't like that, it's Billy, came down to them, and he stayed in. It wasn't like a 7-2 pairing, which is the one you throw out from the get-go, but it was like one step up from that, and he stayed in, and he went all in, and he was losing, and he was losing, and he was losing, until the river came down, and then he won. And they threw the cards down at that point, and the guy saw what he had, and he stood up, flipped his chair. And Billy held his hand up. He said, "Hey, good game, man, good game." He holds his hand up, and this guy just storms right by him.
Uh-oh.
And poor Otto, who brought this, is just sitting there with this mortified expression of, you couldn't say out loud a louder and larger apology than he did with the facial expression at that very moment. It was, it was like 1,000 little kids that got caught with their hand in the cookie jar just as their moms all at the same time came around the corner, and they give them that look. It was like that rolled into one big, fat, chubby face. He's kind of a large guy. And I felt awful for him, and we all gave each other this look like, that shit just happened? Over, like, literally a $45 pot? There weren't a lot of us in that game, because we split out into 3s. But, yeah, so introducing new people of one group to another can be a little shaky. I mean, not in this case, there was no shaking involved, but, you know, a little, not good. A little not good. Not good, as GW would say. So, how in roleplay are the best ways to kind of try and get these groups together? Because just being like, "Hey everybody, here's the new guy," doesn't really always work. Especially if it's one person, maybe you could get away with that. I mean, there's really apparently no other way to do it other than to introduce them singly to people. But if you're having 2 groups of role players, one thing Jazz said I would absolutely agree with: no combat.
No, don't do it. Just don't. Just say no.
Yeah, especially not right out the gate.
Yes, I know Straffe put in here big RP events, but remember, big RP event does not mean combat.
No.
Don't do that, because it'll only end badly. But, you know, a big event where, like, maybe they, like a ball or something, you know, something extravagant that's supposed to be cultured, maybe, where something no weapons are allowed, perhaps. Was that?
Something a bit more social.
Right, definitely, yeah. A scheduled
social
tavern
stuff
night.
Work really well.
Yeah.
They do. I'd say the only thing I can say that I have said as a intermingling groups is like dances, theater events, things like that. Those are pretty harmless.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, go ahead.
I think Jazz will agree with this as a guild mistress and having seen this. Role players are like cats.
Yes.
You can't just bring a new cat home
Wet cats.
Yeah.
and just, let them run around with your old cat, because there's going to be
No,
fun.
because fur will fly. It's terrible.
Yep.
As someone who rescues cats, that's a very apt thing.
Walls will be peed on. I mean, it will just be a big
it'll
mess.
just be anarchy. we're dealing with that right now because we just had a new cat wander into the house and in the middle of a storm, and I couldn't just turn her back out when it was 50 degrees below zero. So she got to stay, and she's pregnant. So, yeah.
Kitties.
So she stayed in a cage for a week, and then she was in Jason's office for a week, and now she's able to walk out, but every time she does, she gets hissed at and she goes and hides. So, yeah. Baby steps. It'll happen.
But yeah, that's a good way to introduce two different groups.
Yes. Slowly
kind of
and gently. Let them get used to each other.
Yeah.
Yes.
And honestly, I would even time it. I would say things where they can actually talk, like you had said one, plays and stuff like that, but you really don't get to role play. That's one of my biggest pet peeves with something.
Yes, but when you're first introducing two groups, plays are good because they get to see each other and they get to hear everybody's little interminglings and whispers and emotes back and forth, but there's no direct confrontations at all.
Okay, I can go along with that.
So they get used to each other.
If you go along with
first.
it like that, of course, it depends too. Unless it's me, in which case, when somebody gets on stage, I blank the fuck out.
Yeah,
but that's because that's not my kind of role play, and I get bored very easily. Also, I don't do good at reading song lyrics. I like to hear songs. I don't like reading them, so I tend to be like, I already know this. It's on the radio. Now, if like Sib did it, where she would put other stuff with it, that I like because there was more to it. But when they just copy paste the thing, like even I done it, those stupid poems that Draxilus puts up.
Yeah,
I mean, I'll be honest. I spend about 5 minutes looking for those. Some of them are pretty good. I'll give it that. For how awful poetry is, but it's still just me copy and pasting shit. And I wouldn't blame anybody if they're like, yeah, I'm gonna watch cat videos on YouTube while you're doing this.
Oh, that's right. 100%. 100%.
But so yeah, if you've got a scheduled tavern night, I would say one thing too, and this is nothing against tea, but like Kitty's tea house thing, probably not at something like that because there are so many other people there that the chat moves so fast you're not getting anything done. It really would need to be in a private setting. Like not if your guild does its own tavern night where it's just your guild and you invite them to that, absolutely. But if it's an open RP event, that's probably, I mean, it's enough chat scroll when you're there just with people you already know and you can barely keep up. Which is just bows to the success of how everyone loves Kitty because she's so sweet and she's very nice. Yes. Guild meetings is another good one, especially if you can find a way where like there's a reason for these two groups to meet. If there's some sort of, usually when they're meeting, there's some underlying plot point. I mean, it's not usually, if you're doing your job right as a role player, it's not in a vacuum. It's not like a D&D game where, hello, I am Gullstaff, Sorcerer of Light. I am on a quest. I am a warrior. I would like to join you on your quest. We are now best friends. It doesn't. True. So, hopefully you're going a little bit more in depth than that, and there's a reason. Drop my pillow. There's a reason the two are getting together. So, and lastly, make sure everyone knows they're invited. Was that Uni?
That was me. Yeah. When Raha and I were in Rift, the guild that we were in, there was some role play. It was light role play. It wasn't, too like digging deep into lore and stuff like that. But that was something that they would do, is they would invite other guilds into the guild meetings, just to kind of say, and just to kind of show, like, hey, this is how we do things. This is kind of how we interact with each other, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And it always seemed to work out really well.
Yeah. But yeah. I mean, I can't really add to that because that Yes, you are correct.
So that's
That's really
that would be a really good way to do it. I think,
Yeah.
And if you're not the guild leader, see if you can get the guild leader's permission.
Yeah.
To introduce
Yeah,
these
it's
people.
typically always good to, at the very least, definitely give them a heads up because they may be the one
Well, yeah.
dealing with it if it goes horribly, horribly awry.
Yeah.
Which is kind of on the next part here. Forewarn your core group about the new group's habits, both good and bad, to reduce the angst. And I will say, probably focus more on the good. They'll find the bad on their own. And if
don't go telling people the bad. That is such a bad
Right.
idea.
Like
Don't give them ammunition to hit each other with. Just say, well, this group focuses more on this kind of RP. They're more into relationships and intermingling and who loves who.
Yeah.
So just
the worst
yeah.
I would say is be like, oh, and this one, and this one, they're a little bit of a slow typer, so be patient. Don't go any more negative than that. They'll find it out on their own if it's there.
Yeah, that's
And
good
also,
information.
what irritates you? Because I just said the plays and stuff irritates the crap out of me. It's not my role play. Other people love it, so I don't go around being like, "Hey, don't go to this. They do this thing that I don't like."
Don't be a negative Nancy.
You sneaky snake. I always heard it as negative Nelly in California. Is how they visit. I've heard Nancy too. I wonder if that's a regional thing.
Might be.
If you use Nelly or Nancy.
Nelly sounds southern.
Yeah, I know, but I always heard it negative Nelly. Yeah. Oh,
I've heard it
Across
both
from
ways.
Oklahoma, which is sort of both.
yeah, but I remember it from California.
Oh. Who knows?
Anyway, so yeah, just try to focus on the good. Just give people a heads up on what they're like, things like that. You don't. If there's negative qualities, trust me, they're gonna find them. They're not gonna need you to point them out. But if you do, they'll look for them, and then when they see it, that's all they'll be able to focus on.
Yep. That's all they will. That's why you don't point out the negative stuff. Let them
human
find
nature.
that on their own.
Yeah.
And also
Don't
to
give
be
them a
fair,
roadmap.
They may not be negative things to that person.
Yeah,
Exactly.
that's true.
Yeah. So the other one here, there will be angst. There always is. How you weather it kind of determines on how good a guild politician you are, and if you're able to weave in and out. Nobody, I mean, even within your own guild, you don't like everybody. I don't like everybody in either one of the guilds. I don't like everybody in Alano. I didn't like everybody in Servants of the Temple. I'm sure I would imagine there's probably like one or two people that are on this show that don't like me.
That's on this show. None of us are here. We all like you, Ashton. Mostly. Sometimes.
Speak for yourself, Jess.
See? I mean, I'm not delusional. I understand.
You sure?
I don't think we are.
It's possible.
Hold on, let me ask you the other one. He says no.
Okay.
And also,
Good
shut
to know.
up, stupid.
Uh-huh.
You
Yeah.
tell him his full mouth.
So, another thing too to keep in mind is if you're the bridge person, if you're the one, if you're not in one of the two groups, if you're the one introducing these two groups, it's natural that you're going to feel a little bit responsible for the way things work out, if they go good or if they go awry. But just keep in mind, you don't have that power, and you have no way of controlling how other people are going to perceive or interact with other people. So you can kind of help slap brush fires down, but if it goes to shit, don't take it personally. You're probably going to anyway because it's human nature, and you're going to feel
There's
bad.
no way not to feel
But you shouldn't.
responsible.
But
I
you
know that,
shouldn't,
but
yeah.
I mean, even with all the times that I did this, I always, like, when I had that, when the police were called, I felt very responsible. It didn't help that two people agreed that it was my fault. But
Listen, I told you that you should have known. I'm sorry, you meant other people.
yeah. So when you introduce two sets of people, it's not that it's your fault, but you can't control people. You can't make everybody get along. I am a very politically neutral person. So when I get two groups of people together that I'm friends with both, I'm very good, like I said, weaving in between the two and enjoying both sets of groups. I've been in multiple guilds before. And I never had a problem with that. But I know that I can't make people get along. And eventually, if you know, even if, because they'll all come to you. This person is terrible. How could you be friends with this person?
I know you hear that just when you and I have political talks on Facebook. You get that in real life. How are you friends with this monster?
Yes. Well, and I tell them he has his good sides. You just can't see them right now.
Well,
and then I tell Ashen, will you please?
I was respectful.
Take it down a notch.
No.
Behave.
I actually have been very reasonable.
You have. I'm talking about other times when you lost your temper and they lost their temper.
Oh, yeah. If I lose my temper. If I lose my
I'm
temper,
telling both sides to behave.
Yeah,
and
see the first half of this episode when I get pissed off and irritated with things. But, you know, even when I brought up that what we talked about earlier, there was definitely there were some people in the ESORP that thought that I think I was an idiot. They also, it was deleted, but they flipped me off with a little emoji, which, by the way, classy. But, you know, it's like, fine, I get it. I got your opinion, but I don't agree with it. I'm sorry. I was actually respectful, and I was being nice because I don't care.
Wait though. There's a middle finger emoji?
I think it was. I think it was added specifically to that Discord, or they copy and pasted it themselves. But yes, there are middle finger emojis.
Yes, there are.
I'm a little excited there.
Yeah, there are, but you have to actually download them onto your server, and I haven't done that for a reason.
Yeah, but it got deleted very quickly. The moderators were... I was being kind. I just told them, I was like, listen, I get what you're saying, and I understand it, but I know your opinion. However, I disagree, and we're going to talk about it regardless of what you want. Just, frankly, I don't care about your opinion at all. It just... I respect that you have one.
I'm so shocked that you...
Well, I didn't say that part. That's just... I'm internalizing it now.
No, I know.
At the time, it's just like, it doesn't matter. You're great. I mean, you're welcome to your opinion, but it's in no way, shape, or form. Oh, well, I mean, it's one guy I've never talked to before doesn't want us to talk about it. So I guess we're going to change everything on the show now. No, it doesn't work like that. And other people wanted us to actually talk about it. So which group do I leave? That's the thing with doing a talk show and radio and stuff like this. I mean, not radio, but a podcast. We can't make everybody happy.
And if you try, no one will be happy. So
you did the right thing with not naming them too.
Right. And again, people, if they want to find it, they can find it. I just don't comment. Just report them. And if you look through it, I'm sorry. Their video editing is shit, and you're gonna have to pause it every 3 seconds to actually get any of the content that they put up. Also, their song choice is abysmal. It is literally the cheapest of the free royalty-free songs that you could possibly find. It's just all bad. Oh, there he is. Elastics. Sorry. See, man, I'm sorry. I'm glad you tuned in. Hopefully you'll go back, but it didn't sway. It doesn't matter. I apologize, but it is what it
now?
Is. The one that was disagreeing. Elastics in the chat. I'm glad you tuned in. I hope you listened to the first half and you understood what was going on, but some things have to be talked about, and frankly, you're outvoted. But because of that, we got to do what we got to do. So when you can't feel bad for doing that, and you're going to feel bad when it comes to meeting these two groups.
You are, but badly. You also have to, you can mediate, but you can't take responsibility because everybody,
unless it goes well, take all the responsibility.
Yeah, I did this. Yeah.
Did you have something? You said it sounded like you had something.
Oh, yeah, there was towards the twilight years, I guess, of EQ2, when I started raiding a little more. I was on a raid. Raha's actually familiar with the story. And I was the healer, and one of the tanks in my group was just this big fat chode. I mean, he was a jerk. And
tell us how you feel. Yeah,
I got tells from people saying, you need to control your tank.
I hate it when they say that, man. It's like, what do you want me to do? Yeah.
1, I'm not the group leader. 2, I'm not the guild leader. 3, I'm not their friggin' mother.
And 4, you tell him.
I know he's a dick.
Let him die. The healer's the ruler anyway.
That's right.
That's true. I've done it.
Yeah, and you can't, I know people do that stuff all the time. Like, hey, you need to take care of this friend of yours.
Yeah,
Do
but that was
I?
a case of two different guilds coming together for the raid, and like that other guild, for some reason, we're sending me tells about this idiot.
It's funny how that does happen. I've noticed there's in either
It was because you're the nice one,
you're
Unifi.
the nice one.
Well, that's true.
You think the nice ones can control the situation. It's not true.
The tiny female fairy, so they
The
thought I
little
was
fey
non-threatening.
girl. Yeah, but I've noticed that happens in either role play or raids and stuff. That when something goes bad, usually a lot of times they'll pick the people that are actually running it. But every now and then, like I've been in things, and I get tells from people like, you need to talk to so and so. Like, dude, I'm not actually even part of either of these groups. I just was. It was an open invite for people.
Yeah.
I have no. What do you want me to do? I'm like, I'll let them know, and then I go away. I don't. What am I supposed to do?
Bystander.
So, but if and here's the thing too that can happen. This stuff like this, I think actually where two groups meet, two different groups meet within a guild, but they don't commingle. This is where this is like the seedling for cliques. This is where cliques actually kind of seem to originate from.
And it doesn't matter what gender you are, what gender you're playing. The penises come out and flop on the table.
Oh yeah,
Yes, they do.
yeah.
Inevitably, it happens every time.
ERPings know no gender.
Yes. And when you get two, especially two like very different groups together, like it's almost a requirement, like zip thud and like, I don't know, that's a Greetic or whatever, but
I think most of the time it's actually more of a zzz, tink. But that's just my opinion.
well, I like to give people the benefit of the doubt.
Yeah.
I have noticed, honestly, even in group events where there's multiple guilds, the guilds all stand together. Even when you're trying to mesh guilds, people will still stand only with their guild, talk only to their guild, only to their friends within the guild. This happens no matter what. Inside a guild, you'll have the friends all stick together. They don't associate around. Mm-hmm. There's always going to be some essence of cliques. You can't ever get away from the concept, but when you're mingling groups, they will automatically split up into knowing each other.
Yeah, it's just and that's where
human nature.
We've done the difference between like a clique and just a gathering of like-minded individuals. A clique, I've always seen it in Jazz. You had I think when we did the episode on cliques, I think you had a different opinion than you probably do on it now. I think you said, didn't you? Because you had not seen it until
Silver Circle. I was always told that there were cliques.
Right.
I was always told that, not by my officers, not by people that had been in there a long time, but by newcomers. And it never failed. They always said, I couldn't get into the clique. What it really meant is I can't stand on the side and sip my tea and write in my journal. Nobody approaches me and makes me roleplay. Right. So I never felt like, because the way that we built Silver Circle didn't work well with cliques.
Right.
Well, so it was automatically anti-clique because of the way that we constructed it.
But then, I know you had, and then when you got to
I never encountered a clique until I was in the servants.
Right, and
that was the first time that I ever dealt with. I mean, I'd probably seen it in some essence, in some fashion, in various guilds.
You weren't actively trying to be involved with those people either,
well,
and they also didn't actively come after you the way it happened with that.
They didn't come after me, and I've never in all my. I'm a very social person in groups. And I will flit from group to group to group to group to group. I'm not.
You're like a hummingbird of RP.
Yeah, I just kind of buzz in and out, and my characters are. You'll see that in a lot of my characters as well, because I don't have a problem blending in with other groups. I'll find some way to blend in with one character that I have, maybe not the same one each time, but I will find a way to get in and socialize with various groups. Nothing I did worked in servants. I had never run into that wall of clique. I had never seen that. I didn't even believe it existed until I was in servants. Right. So that in and of itself ought to say something.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because I've been doing this a long time, and I have never run into a clique that I couldn't slip into, that I couldn't talk with and find at least a
at least
couple
beyond
people.
nodding approval, that kind of thing. Yeah, and it's and that's the kind of thing, and it happens more and more. But it's kind of like the thought America was supposed to be. It's supposed to be a melting pot where we throw in some Asians, we throw in some white Europeans, and we throw in people from Africa and Mexico and Canada, I guess, if we have to. But in the end, we all boil together and we're Americans. That was the original idea.
That was the original idea,
right? Yes. But at the same time, then you ended up with Little Tokyo, the the Chinese district, Little Italy, because they spoke similar languages, they had similar old customs, but at the same time, they also had a kind of a combining glue, and when that glue starts to get stronger and stronger and stronger and pull you away from the melting pot, as it does in some of those roleplay cliques, then you find yourself, it's just this hard little knot of anger. And you find yourself on the outs because you can't break through that shell. I eventually figured out what the problem was, but by the time I left, I still had not figured it out. I figured it out later, kind of thinking about it and realizing what I had been up against and learning about some of the people that were in there and why it was such a problem, because it really bugged me that I couldn't socialize with this group of people that I, on the surface, seemed to have a lot in common with. Yeah. You actually, probably even on even in a political bent and philosophy on, real world bents as well. And yet couldn't get through. Yeah.
I couldn't get through. So it was a learning experience for me. And I no longer say to people, there's no such thing. It's all in your head. Mm-hmm. I now understand that it is possible that there were cliques in Silver Circle that
you just couldn't. Well, you were on top.
I couldn't see because I was a leader.
Yeah,
and I've always been a leader, and even when I'm not in a guild that I made, I'm always part of the
leadership or
functioning
or helping out.
Not necessarily even leadership, but that I was always that person that showed up every day to roleplay. I was always that person who took part and did more than just lean on the wall. Yeah, I was always in there working for roleplay, and so I don't think I saw the cliques, because a lot of people who can't get into a clique, in my opinion, are actively wall leaners. Not always, but often.
But in your case, you proved yourself wrong.
Right. I proved myself wrong this time, that maybe there are some. I want to believe that I don't think that existed in the Silver Circle, but I could be wrong. Yeah, maybe there was, and I just never saw it.
And to circle it back around, I felt like an asshole because I was the one that tried to get you guys to do that, and then it was great at first, and then that happened. Because it was a new group of people, and I was like, and then I was the one that tried to introduce two separate groups of friends, and it went to shit.
Yeah, and I felt really bad because I tried so hard, and I was just so aghast that it didn't work, and I felt bad for you.
And the majority of the people were all great, and they actually, I actually had people months and months after you'd even left ask about the three of you every now and then, like, where's so and so, and they're like, oh, they left the guild and blah blah blah. But that one little clique that was off to the side, it's the I forget that old saying. It only takes one bad apple to ruin the whole bunch, hon.
Mm-hmm. Yep, and that was really, I could not get. I like to call them the cool kids rather than a clique, because that really is what it felt more like. Kind of like trying to get in with the cheerleaders and football players, and you're just the new kid at school.
Nerd.
That's what it kind of felt like to me. After a little while, I was like, this is like grade school or middle school when I just couldn't figure it out.
It's like watching Mean Girls.
Yeah, it was.
Before Lindsay Lohan had a coke addiction. And also a little after.
So, yeah. Yeah. I think it's important to just try to let people be people. And try not to read too much into it and let them adjust.
Yeah. Okay, so moving on here to the next bit to kind of go into that. Expect some of the bad habits from your core group, or both groups rather, because technically I guess they could both be your core, to re-flare as there's new meat in town.
So true.
this comes typically, think of a peacock.
Yep.
Somebody new comes around and they're like, Look at me! Look at all the shiny items I have!
Yeah.
Emphasis on the cock.
That's
Yes.
right. There is
Now, see, in Silver Circle, that was really obvious because we were almost, unlike most of the other guilds, we were almost all female characters. Obviously, not all player characters were female, but
yeah,
they were all,
you had
we were
a
almost all
disproportionate
females.
amount of women compared to
Right.
men.
So a new guy joined and flicked
man.
his tail, and all the women were like the heads moved at once.
Yeah.
So
It was like watching all the chickens when a new rooster shows up.
And I just sit back, and the officers and I would pass around the popcorn just and watch.
Yeah. And given the old rooster was Foghorn Leghorn, so this new guy is really looking like Jason Momoa.
Yeah, seriously.
I bring him up just because it cracks me up to listen to Jazz drool over some of
I can't help it.
probably be her kid.
Oh, so yummy.
So, yeah, but it happens. People, it is actually very entertaining, especially if you're from an outside perspective to watch. Because part of it is too with the role play. Your group of friends, each group knows the ins and outs and the power, the to put it in Dragon Ball terms, the power levels and the intricacies of the other characters. But the other group doesn't. So it's almost like you're all brand new characters. So everybody has to be like, my eye flashes red, that
guy.
Or
always gonna
leans
make me...
heavily on the wall, picking my teeth with the bones of the dead dragon I slayed when I was only 3 years old. Whatever it is. It just the
rest
happens.
of us are going, really? You're going to go through that again?
Yeah.
Really?
We are aware of it. You killed a dragon when you were 3 years old. Hercules. We get it. We understand.
This is just a tiny bit off topic because I saw this like as a potential future topic, but I've always wanted to play one of a Deadpool character, like a fourth wall breaking character. So when people emote that stupid shit, I can just kind of go with it.
You could just emote. Well, that's just lazy writing, but I don't think that would go over well.
Let's be honest. Some of your characters, Ashen, were actively Deadpooling it. So,
well, that was just me jokingly OOC emoting through the character, but I mean, somewhat, yeah. There were times, although I don't think it was intentional, given Deadpool was not popular like he is now.
No, but the third wall breaking.
Ryan Reynolds and his sexy everything had not yet played the character correctly.
That's true.
Sorry,
Next.
man crush. Let's see. So the other thing here, when you do this too, there is a decent chance, especially if I think this happens with, probably would happen more with every now and then when you do a guild merger, like two guilds kind of combine, which I'm not a particular fan of guild mergers. If you're going to do that, you kind of don't do it one lump sum. Yeah, they kind of need to apply like everyone else would. But yeah. That's completely off topic and just made me think of this. But if you do have two groups merge, and especially if you're all going to be in the same guild now, there is a good chance you're going to lose a few of the old role players and maybe even a few of the new ones,
Yep.
It's a very
it's
real
inevitable.
possibility.
It's going to happen.
Yeah.
There's nothing you can do about it.
Yeah, it's normal. You can take time and follow up with them. It can also go along. It goes a long way. Like, hey, what's going on, buddy? You okay over there? Somebody hurt your feelings? Oh, I'm sorry. I know, but they mean well. But just give it some time and relax, and we'll always be here for you. Okay, Scooter, you go on now. You have a good time. You know
how many actual conversations I've had just like that.
Right. Maybe in type it doesn't come off as condescending.
No,
but
I really hope not, because I was trying to be.
Maybe don't call him Scooter.
Sparky.
Sparky.
Yeah. Sparky.
Little Red. But if it happens, it happens. If it's like I did with the servants in several other guilds throughout my career in roleplay, when you stop having fun, or if this new group comes in and it changes the dynamic of the guild and it's no longer something you feel like you have a part in, tip your fedora, give them a milady, and bow out gracefully. You don't have to, if you want to sling mud, that's fine, but trust me, it's not gonna.
It doesn't do anything.
Right.
It's not going to end the way you think it is. So yeah, don't do that.
No, every time. Even what's so funny is I've seen people do that, and I actually agree with them. I'm like, wow, you were way wronged. Then you acted like a complete asshole. So you're on your own. Good luck. I mean,
it's
not
better
really.
just to walk away.
Yeah.
Because it's not. They're not worth your time. It's your $15 or whatever you're paying to play your game. It's not worth. They're not worth it.
Yeah.
So just walk away.
Yeah.
And that's what I normally do.
And the ones you still get along with.
It's just like, see ya.
Yeah. And keep in contact with the ones you got along with.
Yeah.
And anybody, let anybody know, hey, if you want to contact me. That's cool. I'm still around, especially these days. That's one thing I realized was the servants, like half the people, even if I don't talk to them in game, I got a laundry list of people I know on Discord here. And I've still been talking to them through Discord. So it's all good.
Yeah.
I may not be in the guild and I may not be role playing with them, but it's cool because I still have, the friendships I made it.
Yeah, as I say, you're friends with.
So, the other thing here, trust your officers when they notice new levels of drama and or admiral traits in both groups. This will go a long way to smoothing out the edges early. It can, unless your officers are ignoring whatever
part of the
else is
problem.
saying. Right.
Yeah.
But you have to remember, officers are officers. Unfortunately, they are still humans that do a 9-to-5 job as well. And they don't always catch everything.
They may not see it.
And they may not see it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's very possible. That's kind of the problem I had. It was brought up, but things didn't go well. So, that's cool. It happens.
It happens. They're human.
Yeah, it does happen. And I'm still talking to everybody, and when it comes to that, but especially if you can focus on the good stuff. It's so easy. And trust me, I'm a very negative fucking person.
That's why he's got me.
Right. That's why
I'm the positive to his negative.
Care Bear Stare over here always trying to keep me on the straight and narrow.
That's right.
It is a full fucking time job for her. There are a lot of rainbows shooting out of that woman. Usually after sprinkles. So with, the officers, it is up to the officers and those guild leaders and stuff to try to help keep these things as smooth as possible. And
trust me, in a good situation where you have good officers, they're on top of it. I know I have an amazing group of officers in my current guild.
I know.
And
go on.
And when there's a problem, it's usually caught pretty early, and we start, posting screenshots of potential problems, posting screenshots of conversations where things might go sideways. Often don't, but
even if it's just I was talking to this person, how did you guys take this? Because like for me, I tend to take things, especially in type, I read things with a lot of sarcasm that I have a feeling sometimes is probably not there, but because I'm sarcastic by nature, I read into it as I know there's been multiple times I've read something where the person genuinely meant what they said, but my sarcastic brain took it as they're just being an asshole. And then they're like, no, I really meant that. I'm like, oh. So, the crow pie, is that going to be ready in like half an hour? Because I'm going to have to apparently eat that crow. I prefer it to be baked.
But I mean, we've got a really good group here. And a lot of them were also in Silver Circle. So, not on purpose. It just kind of worked out that way.
Yeah, it's a group of friends, and
we're a group of friends. We've known each other a long time,
and it didn't
and we
hurt
work well
EQ2
together.
is a burning fetal dumpster
trash fire.
Right.
We were burning trash fire drama, so we got a lot of practice.
Yeah.
But here, I have to say, probably because of Silver Circle and everything that we've been through, we see things coming from way off. And so by the time it actually happens, we're all ready. And we're all been like, okay, if this happens, you do this, you do this, you do this, we'll handle it. And it works like a charm, and it never makes it into mainstream knowledge. And I think the same thing goes when you're putting two groups together. Your officers need to be far more aware of the potential problems ahead of time. Not because you're a negative Nancy, but because it's good to be prepared, and chance favors the prepared. So be sure that you've had the conversation with your officers so that if somebody starts whining, because they never talk to the guild leader, ever. They talk to their friends first.
You're too busy. They don't want to bother you.
Yeah. Something along those lines.
How many times have you heard it?
Yeah, 1,000 times. Yeah. And or I'm the first person they talk to, and they don't talk to the person that's pissing them off. They come and they vent to me. Either way, it's one or the other. But when you have a good core group of officers, now let's have a conversation really briefly about when that's not the case. When your officers are the problem. And I've seen this quite a bit. We had that problem in Silver Circle a couple of times.
It does happen.
It has happened. It happens with every guild.
They start out good, but the authority and power goes to their head. Whatever it is that it turns them to the dark side.
Right. And suddenly you're dealing with an officer out of control. And when you've got also this new group sparking on each other, it can be a recipe for disaster, and it can cause guilds to die very quickly. Because if the officer is inflaming things, there'll be a split. And then one group will leave and one group will stay.
And that officer is a representative of the guild.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. So and also if you have a split forming because you have one small group that feels that they've been wronged and you have another officer that agrees with them even though nobody else does, it can cause a really terrible split because the group feels empowered and will then act out. And it can cause people to leave, people to walk away, people to stop logging in, people to stop role-playing altogether and just go do other things, wait it out, because a lot of people will do that. So it's really important to know not only, you need to be honest with yourself. Are your officers the problem? And if they are, as a guild leader, as a leader in the community for roleplay, you have to be able to step up, even if and twice now, it's been someone that I consider to be a very good friend that I'd known for years. And I had to step in and say, it's time to step down.
Yep.
And that's the hardest thing you'll ever have to do. But if you don't do it soon enough, it will affect your guild permanently negatively.
Mm-hmm. And could lead into its ultimate shoving.
Right.
Yeah.
Just because you brought in two groups that didn't get along very well, but one faction was louder than the other or found an ally in your officers, and suddenly not only are your officers split, but so is the guild. Mm-hmm. And so it's really important as a guild leader and as a leader in the community, and I'm speaking directly to that kind of a person, it's really important, even if it's hard, to be honest with yourself, because I wasn't, and I nearly lost half my guild. Now I realized what was happening, and I had a very hard talk with someone I adore and said, you need to step down. We're done. You're out of line. You're out of control. You're causing a problem. You have to step down. I still love you. I'm still your friend. That's not going to change, but you have to step down. That's a really hard conversation to have when you care about someone.
Mm-hmm.
But you have to, because the guild is watching and needs leadership, especially when you're merging two groups together.
Yeah. Nope. Very well said. Mm-hmm. Can't really add much to that. So moving on. Last thing here. When things go well and the new group can merge into the core group, or the two cores can merge into one mighty core, almost a prime of sorts, some sort of a prime, maybe an Optimus Prime, creating vast amounts of new roleplay. It can create new relationships. Friendships will spawn both in the game and out of the game, which is equally, if not even more important. You'll find new and old friends alike that'll follow you to new games, Jess. Transplanting your RP community from one game to the other. It's a good thing when it happens, and typically you're gonna shed probably shed dead weight, to be frank and honest. People that are just going to be negative just to be contrarian, which there are plenty of those. I've had conversations with role players lately, and I forget at times how contrary they can be just for the sake of being contrary, not because they actually even believe it, but just, I don't know, just because it's what they
want
do.
Yeah,
yeah,
they want to control the situation.
Yeah, and because I'm so used to, I role play with and interact largely with the people that I've known for so long. So when I go outside of that group, I forget at times. I'm like, oh, that's right. I got to remember, don't take it like that. They're being the way they are, whether they even believe it or not, or whether they're even as passionate as they claim that they're being about it. It's just something on the internet that they can throughout their fingers, and they may not actually even really care all that much about it, but they put their flag in the ground, and this is the hill they're going to die on, come hell or high water.
Yep.
Even if they probably really don't care, and as soon as that flag's down, they're on the next molehill. Flag planted, standing proudly, chest out, nose hairs aflare. But
I mean, I have made some of the most amazing friends from merging groups together. From roleplay where two groups get together. In every major game I've ever played, I've come away with a couple of just amazing friends. So it's important.
It is, yeah. The real life. I mean, I've known a lot of people in character, and it was, for the most part, it's largely positive as well. And I cherish and appreciate all the entertainment that they help provide me, and hopefully I provide it for them. But the out of game friendships that have lasted for years, or in some cases decades, you two, Uni and Jazz, and I guess I've known you for a decade now too, so I'll include you in there. But I didn't meet you online, so that doesn't count.
That's true.
That's right. Oops, hit my mouse. But that I appreciate those a lot more, and which of course when those I've seen. As I've seen recently, kind of when those things go sour, it's all the more bitter to especially see it from the outside, when I don't think that they have as much to disagree upon as they think they do. It's just hurt feelings and misunderstanding and miscommunications. But that's my personal opinion. I'm definitely better for having known all the people, Jazz, Uni, Shard, Vinka, Nilok, I guess. Little underage shithead lying to us. I could name off a list of people, and I'm glad to have known them all. Some of them, we've lost some of them. Wrong way, Gina.
Yeah.
And it sucks, but I still would rather have known them than not know them. And that's one of the great things that I love about this hobby that we do is you really get to meet some amazing people from literally around the world. I mean, how many of those fucking Aussies do we know? Am I right?
Yeah.
They're not real.
God dang, there are so many roleplay. I figure it's because they're afraid to go outside because everything down there will kill them.
They're not real, though.
No, just their place is not real. They actually exist, but I think...
Oh, do they exist?
They
really?
exist, but I think what they're actually on is... They're on a floating barge known as Australia. It's kind of like Waterworld, but with a larger budget, which is surprising. And also, no, what's his face? I love that guy too.
Mel Gibson?
No, not Mel Gibson. The other one.
Mel Gibson, really?
No, the one that's
I haven't seen it. So.
Not the anti-Semitic one. The good one. Oh my God, that's gonna drive me crazy.
Me too.
Well, I mean, Google exists.
He was.
Let's see.
Is it Kevin something? Yeah, you do that.
Kevin Costner.
Kevin Costner. Thank you.
Go. Thank you, Google.
Damn. Yes. Thank you. Abominous. Sorry, the blue against the black. I have it set black on my Twitch, so it's hard to read the blue. Thank you, guys. But yeah, I love Kevin Costner, by the way. Fantastic guy. And I don't care what you say, Waterworld and The Postman were actually good damn movies, and I enjoy them every time I watch them. So, fuck you, reviewers. Oh, And speaking of, completely unrelated, Battle Angel, Alita Battle Angel, fucking great. Loved it. I don't care. A lot of people do. Yeah, I definitely beats the shit out of the fucking Ghost in the Shell movie, which was awful. Just awful. But no, it stuck to it stuck to the source material well enough, and they added a few things that made sense. But just the fight scenes and the story and the pacing of it, I loved it all, and it was what we took for. That was where we went for Valentine's Day with Sibsy. But it was damn good. It was that one I showed you, Jazz, with the girl with the big eyes, and she was a cyborg.
Yeah, no, my husband is waiting to see it. So.
Oh, okay. Go with him. You'll love it.
Yeah, I had a feeling.
Really good.
There's a surprising.
He's chomping at the bit to say he's going to go see it, and then he's going to take me. So.
Yeah, I would see it again. Honestly, I would absolutely after the show right now. If she was like, "Hey, want to go see it?" I'd be like, "Yes." But we're not going to because we're inside and it's cold outside, and it's miserably cold outside. But yes, highly recommend it. Don't believe the idiots that are like, it's horrible. I mean, okay, if you don't like it because you have a legitimate reason, it's not your style, I get that. There are some people that I'm pretty sure haven't seen it, and they're like, it's the worst. I actually saw someone, worst movie ever. Have you seen Catwoman? Huh? Battlefield Earth? Huh? Yeah. Anything in that 5-year period by M. Night Shyamalan that was awful? Nah, that was far worse. Far, far worse. So, yeah, go see that. It's a good date movie. It's got a lot of action for the guys, a lot of action for the girls, and I won't lie, I teared up a few times just at how close to the source material they stayed. They didn't pull an Aragon, which, by the way, far worse movie. Totally butchered that. Good book series, terrible movie. Oh, I take it back. Mediocre book series, terrible movie. So, anybody have anything, final thoughts before I just ramble on about movies and other pop culture shit that I'm interested in?
No, just be excellent to each other.
Be excellent to each other.
Also,
remember that other groups...
They're making a third one of that, Uni.
Oh my god!
I have actually never seen it.
I've heard there's a third Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure in production.
Yes, there is. They're going to be old.
They're going to be very old. But you know what? I'm pretty sure what Keanu Reeves is going to look a hell of a lot better than he did back 30 years ago, because he is a damn good-looking fella. Yes, he not
is.
Gay. He's also a really nice guy, though.
My kids, my husband has movie night during the week for our boys, and they pick something that Dad picks something for them that he thinks they'll enjoy.
Oh, John Wick. That's a good pick for your 6-year-old.
Yeah, no, not that one. Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure.
Oh,
and the second one as well. And the boys loved it.
So bad, but they're so
My
great.
8-year-old was like, "That's Abraham Lincoln." He was like I said, "I'm pretty sure that's not how he talks."
Yeah, was it Napoleon? It had Napoleon Bonaparte.
Napoleon, and yeah.
And
he was fascinated with
Socrates,
I
think.
Yes, and Socrates. He was fascinated with the interpretation of the historical figures because he recognized some of them from him from school. So that was fun. But yeah, it was totally above his head for the most part.
Ziggy
But my 2 teenage boys loved it, of course.
Right.
And we're doing dude all night. So
yeah, you're not going to break them out of that for the next 3 years. There was a dude phase in that time period. I remember that. Oh, that was not a good time period. Everything was dude. All right, dudes. I think that's about it then. So hopefully everybody. If we get more feedback, we may go more in depth to those ERP people and actually expose the stupidity of the things that they did. But if not, if everyone thinks we've said enough, I know we're toying with the idea of doing a full show on it and far more in depth into how stupid it is. Let us know if you think it's been covered. That's cool. If not, or if you want to talk about it next episode and call in because you got something to say, please feel free. We always are willing to take ideas from the listeners because, like Dirty Jobs, we are basically just pulling them right out of our ass most of the time. So
that is a bit of a dirty job, yeah.
It is, yeah. And so, yeah, we always love hearing from you. Again, rpmmradio.com/Discord. Join our Discord server. Surprising, we're actually pretty talkative and friendly there. Here. Yeah. But we always welcome people that disagree. I'm always glad to have it. We're not going to shy away from that, or unless you're like some 11-year-old that wants to talk about some dead celebrity, for example, which has happened.
Poor kid.
As long as it's on topic.
A certain age to be on the show.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I'm not letting an 11-year-old come on the show.
Yeah, especially to talk about bullcrap. But as long as it's on the topic of RP, or if it's just, I don't know, if it's something really interesting to me, if you want to talk more about Jazz's underground mole people and Crabman War, we'll talk about that too.
Hey now!
They have to live somewhere, Jazz. It was fascinating, but I'm going to make fun of it. Make fun of everything. Make fun of you, even when you're there.
Very true.
Yeah.
Very true.
I promise I treat you exactly the way to your front as I do to your back. Haha. Nice. Also a little creepy. Anyway, so with that, I want to thank everybody for tuning in. We will be here next week unless, I don't know, half of us die off in a horrible zombie plague, which, I mean, if you've looked at the things with the zombie deer, is apparently entirely possible at this point. Zombie deers are coming, and your family will not survive. Remember, buy dehydrated food, at least a year's supply.
Feud?
If you got to live with your family in an apocalypse, there's going to be a feud. You're probably going to be eaten.
Oh, they're all going to die. I'm going to be the only one alive.
So, all right. Well, I appreciate everybody tuning
in. Night, folks!
I definitely want to thank everybody for tuning in. Twitch.tv /RPMMORadio.
Time for you to go to bed, isn't it, old man?
I had a migraine yesterday and neck pain that would take down a moose. So, yeah, I'm still recovering from that. But, yeah, thank you everybody for tuning in, especially Rahanar, who had to bow out early because he's still recovering. Jazz, Sib, Yunfei, guys are awesome as always. I, of course, am Ashton Phoenix, and tune in next time when we go over halflings and why you should never let them gather in more than groups of 2. Next time on RPM Radio. Play on and keep the role-playing going.
Hey, guys.
Music, as always, is provided by Husky by the Geek. Visit him at youtube.com/HuskyByTheGeek to hear all his great video game rock covers and original music.